Most people are prisoners of their own mouth, their moods, their money habits, and their restless mind. And yet, they wonder why life keeps repeating the same struggles, the same disappointments, the same cycles. Today, I'm going to show you how mastering these 4 things can completely shift your reality, so you stop being controlled by life and start controlling it. Expression. It is an instruction sent out into the world, and whether you recognize it or not, it shapes the conditions of your life. Most people move through their day without even considering the impact of their words. They gossip, complain, criticize, or casually declare things like, "I'm always broke. I can never do that." Or, "Nothing ever works out for me." They believe they are just describing reality, when in truth, they are reinforcing it, sealing it into place, and commanding life to give them more of the same. When you begin to recognize that every word has frequency, that every phrase is energy made visible through sound, you will never again take speech lightly. Words are bridges between thought and matter. They are carriers of intention, charged with emotion, and magnetized with belief. When you say something with enough conviction, it not only programs your subconscious, but also imprints the collective field around you. The spoken word has the power to build or destroy, to liberate or imprison, to heal or wound. Most of the suffering people experience is not because life is against them, but because their own words have become weapons turned inward. Consider how often people speak words that contradict their desires. They want success, but they speak constantly about struggle. They want love, but they endlessly complain about the absence of it. They want health, but they label themselves as sick and weak. What they don't realize is that the mouth can either be a faithful servant of the mind's higher vision, or it can be the saboteur that betrays it. Every time you speak against yourself, you are signing a contract with limitation. Every time you speak words of doubt, you are cementing your fears into reality. To control your mouth does not mean silencing yourself. It means elevating the quality of what you release into the world. It means becoming conscious of your language and aligning your speech with the reality you wish to create. Instead of saying, "I can't afford that," you say, "I am learning to manage my resources better, and new opportunities are coming." Instead of saying, "I'm always unlucky," you declare, "Life is aligning me with the right opportunities at the right time." This isn't about denial. It's about direction. Your words are steering the ship of your life, and if you let them wander aimlessly, don't be surprised when you end up in storms you never intended to sail into. The mouth is also deeply tied to integrity. Words are promises, not just to others but also to yourself. When you say you will do something and fail to follow through, you are teaching yourself that your word cannot be trusted. Over time, this weakens confidence, destroys self-belief, and creates a cycle of internal sabotage. But when you speak only what you intend to honor, when you allow your words to carry truth, you restore power to your voice. Integrity sharpens the energy of your speech, making your words not just sounds, but declarations that carry weight in the fabric of reality. Another layer of controlling your mouth is learning restraint. Not every emotion needs to be verbalized. Not every frustration deserves expression. The moment of silence before speaking is the crucible of power. It is the space where you choose whether to pour fuel on the fire or pour water to cool it down. When you react without pause, you often speak from lower emotions, and those words cannot be unsaid. They cut deeper than you intended, they spread further than you imagined, and they often return with consequences you didn't anticipate. But when you master the pause, when you hold back words that are misaligned with your higher vision, you demonstrate strength. You choose creation over reaction. Even science shows us that language has power. Experiments with water molecules, plants, and even human DNA reveal that positive, uplifting words generate harmony and growth, while negative, destructive words generate chaos and decay. If words can affect molecules, imagine how profoundly they affect your body, your relationships, your energy, and your future. This is why it is said that life and death are in the power of the tongue. When you truly understand this, you become intentional with your speech. You stop using words casually because you realize they are tools for sculpting destiny. Think about the leaders, visionaries, and teachers who shifted the course of history. They didn't always have armies, wealth, or power in the traditional sense, but they had words. Words that ignited movements, words that inspired nations, words that carried vision strong enough to break through generations of limitation. Your words may not be spoken on a stage to millions, but they are spoken into the stage of your own life every single day. And in your life, they carry that same weight. To control your mouth is to take back authorship of your story. It is to stop narrating your limitations and begin narrating your possibilities. It is to choose language that elevates, empowers, and inspires. The moment you shift the words you speak, you shift the reality you live in, because your speech sets the boundaries of your experience. When you truly master your mouth, you stop describing life as it is and start declaring life as it can be. You stop echoing the past and start scripting the future. Your mood is the silent architect of your reality. It is the invisible filter through which you experience the world, shaping the meaning you attach to events and the energy you radiate to those around you. Most people wake up each day and allow circumstances, memories, or the actions of others to determine how they feel. They say things like, "I'm in a bad mood because of what happened yesterday," or "They ruined my day." But the truth is, your mood is not owned by anyone else. It belongs to you. It is one of the few things that you can fully control, yet most people hand it over without hesitation. When you learn to take charge of your mood, you begin to take charge of your life. A mood is more than a fleeting feeling. Feelings come and go, but a mood is when those feelings become extended, when they settle into your body and dictate the tone of your entire day. For example, if something frustrates you in the morning and you carry that frustration, without releasing it. Soon it becomes irritation at every small inconvenience. Then it spills into how you treat others, and before long it defines the whole day. One small trigger turned into a lasting vibration because you allowed your mood to take control. This is how many people live, reacting instead of choosing, being dragged through the day by the weight of an emotion they didn't even consciously invite. To control your mood is to step into awareness. It requires you to catch yourself in the moment when emotions rise and to make a conscious decision about what you will allow to stay. Anger might come, sadness might knock at the door, but you hold the authority to decide whether these guests take up residence in your body and mind. Without awareness, moods run on autopilot, recycling the same emotional patterns over and over. This is why people often feel stuck. They keep living in the same moods, and those moods anchor them to the same experiences. Your mood is also a signal to the universe, a broadcast that magnetizes experiences to you. When you stay in low vibrations like anger, fear, or resentment, you attract situations that reinforce those very states. Life becomes a mirror reflecting the mood you carry. But when you elevate into joy, gratitude, peace, or determination, you align with higher frequencies that draw in opportunities, synchronicities, and connections that match your state. This is not just philosophy, it is how energy operates. Your inner state communicates with the outer world in ways you cannot always see, but you will always feel the effects. Controlling your mood does not mean suppressing emotions. It does not mean pretending to be happy when you are hurting or denying your anger when it arises. Suppression only buries emotions deeper, where they continue to shape you unconsciously. True control is about acknowledgement and redirection. It is about saying, "Yes, I feel this, but I choose not to let it define my state." You allow the emotion to pass through instead of building a home for it inside you. By doing this, you free yourself from being enslaved by temporary conditions. One of the greatest practices for mastering your mood is learning to generate elevated emotions independently of circumstances. Most people wait for life to give them a reason to feel good. They think they will feel joy when they achieve success, peace when the problem is solved, love when the right person arrives. But the real mastery is to cultivate those emotions before the conditions arrive. When you practice gratitude without needing something external to trigger it, you reprogram your body to live in a state of abundance. When you choose calmness in the middle of chaos, you train yourself to be unshakable. And when you embody joy without waiting for a perfect reason, you draw experiences that align with joy into your reality. The truth is, your body becomes addicted to moods just like it becomes addicted to substances. If you live in stress long enough, your cells crave it, and you unconsciously seek situations that create more stress. If you live in sadness long enough, you begin to identify with it, calling it your personality. This is why controlling your mood requires breaking the cycle of emotional addiction. It means refusing to identify with the lower states and deciding that you are not your moods. you are the one who chooses them. Another dimension to consider is how your mood affects others. When you carry a certain state, it radiates beyond your body. People feel it without words. A bad mood infects a room like a virus, lowering the vibration of everyone present. A calm, centered mood brings stability and safety to those around you. A joyful mood lifts others effortlessly. In this way, controlling your mood is not just about your life, it is about the collective experience you contribute to. When you master your mood, you become a source of balance and inspiration for others, not someone who unconsciously spreads negativity. Practically, this requires building daily rituals that reset your emotional state, breathing deeply when tension rises, stepping into silence instead of reacting, practicing gratitude every morning, visualizing the day ahead while embodying the emotions you want to feel. All of these are tools to shift and hold your mood intentionally. The more you practice, the less external forces will have the power to move you. You no longer swing with every storm. Instead, you become the calm center of it. Your mood is the frequency you live on, and that frequency decides what you attract, how you act, and ultimately who you become. Most people spend their lives trying to change their circumstances while ignoring the mood that is creating those circumstances in the first place. But when you learn to control your mood, you begin to live from the inside out rather than from the outside in. You become the cause, not the effect. You become the one who directs life instead of waiting for life to direct you. Money is more than numbers in a bank account, more than paper bills, more than a tool of exchange. It is energy in motion, a direct reflection of your beliefs, your habits, and your relationship with abundance. For many, money is either a constant source of stress or a constant obsession, and in both cases, it reveals one thing: the lack of control. When you do not master your money, it masters you. And when money controls you, it shapes your choices, your emotions, and even your sense of worth. True freedom begins when you learn to control your money, when you see it not as a master, but as a servant, not as a measure of your identity, but as a mirror of your mindset. Think about the way most people handle money. They chase it desperately, spend it carelessly, or fear it endlessly. They say things like, "Money is hard to come by," "I'll never have enough," or "People with money are greedy." These beliefs are not harmless. They are programs that run deep in the subconscious, directing financial habits without awareness. If you believe money is scarce, you will unconsciously repel opportunities. If you believe you are undeserving of wealth, you will sabotage yourself when it begins to flow in. If you associate money with guilt, you will find ways to push it away. Your external financial reality will always reveal the truth of your internal financial blueprint. To control your money means to rewrite that blueprint. It means to take responsibility for your financial state, no matter where you are starting from, and to realize that money is simply a magnifier. If you are careless, money will magnify your carelessness. If you are wise, money will magnify your wisdom. If you lack discipline, money will expose it. If you have vision, money will expand it. The problem is never money itself. It is the relationship you have with it. By choosing to control your money, you are choosing to shift from unconscious patterns into intentional alignment. One of the first steps in controlling your money is understanding respect. Money flows where it is respected. When you treat it recklessly, spending beyond your means, ignoring where it goes, or using it to numb emotions rather than to build a life, you are showing disrespect. Disrespect creates resistance, and resistance blocks flow. Respect means awareness. It means tracking where your money goes, budgeting not as a restriction, but as a declaration that you are in command. It means spending in alignment with your values rather than impulses. Respect is not about hoarding, it is about directing money with clarity and purpose. Another key to controlling your money is shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Scarcity says there is never enough. It keeps you in fear, clinging to every dollar, making decisions out of survival instead of vision. Abundance says there is always flow, that resources expand when you align with them, that opportunities exist in every direction. Abundance is not blind optimism. It is trust in the unseen laws that govern life. When you live in abundance, you do not waste, but neither do you fear. You save with wisdom, invest with confidence, and spend with joy. Scarcity closes doors, while abundance opens them. Control also means discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect in action. It is saying, I value myself enough to manage my resources wisely. Discipline looks like creating systems for saving, investing in growth rather than fleeting pleasures, resisting the urge to prove yourself through possessions, and choosing long-term vision over short-term gratification. Without discipline, money slips away like water through open hands. With discipline, even small amounts begin to multiply because you are signaling to life that you can be trusted with more. But controlling your money is not just about managing what you have. It is about expanding your capacity to create more. Many people are locked in the belief that their income is fixed, that what they earn is what they are worth. But money is not limited by your current job, your background, or your circumstances. It is limited by your imagination and your willingness to step into new possibilities. When you expand your skills, step into creativity, and align your work with service and value, you increase the channels through which money can flow. Instead of asking, how can I earn enough to survive? Begin asking, how can I create so much value that wealth becomes inevitable? Equally important is releasing the emotional charge around money. Too many people tie their self-worth to their net worth. When they have more, they feel superior. When they have less, they feel inferior. But money was never designed to define you. It was designed to support you. When you detach your identity from money, you gain freedom. You can pursue wealth without becoming enslaved by it, and you can manage it without fear of loss. This detachment allows you to make wiser decisions because you are no longer operating from desperation or ego. Your relationship with money is ultimately a reflection of your relationship with yourself. If you do not value yourself, you will undervalue your work and accept less than you deserve. If you fear growth, you will stay small and keep opportunities away. But when you recognize your inherent worth, when you know that abundance is your birthright, you begin to treat money not as an enemy or a savior, but as a neutral energy, a tool that expands what you already are. Money in the hands of a conscious person becomes a force for good, for freedom, for growth. To control your money is to step into that consciousness. It is to refuse to live as a victim of financial circumstances and instead become the author of your financial story. It is not about greed, and it is not about denial. It is about alignment. It is about recognizing that how you use, save, and earn money is shaping not just your lifestyle, but your destiny. When you bring clarity, respect, discipline, and vision to your financial life, you shift from scarcity to abundance, from fear to freedom, from chaos to control. The mind is the most powerful tool you will ever possess, yet for most people, it is also their greatest enemy. It is a battlefield where thoughts compete for dominance, where patterns of the past try to dictate the possibilities of the future, and where the quality of life is ultimately decided. What you think about consistently, you become. What you allow to occupy your mental space shapes not only your perception, but your destiny. To control your mind is to reclaim authority over the one faculty that influences every aspect of your reality. Without mastery of the mind, you are carried away by distraction, driven by fear, and trapped in cycles of thought that keep you bound to the same experiences. Most people believe they are in control of their thoughts, when, in reality, their thoughts are in control of them. Research shows that we think the same thoughts day after day, nearly 90% of them repetitive, and many of them negative. This creates an internal loop, a program that runs on autopilot. If you are constantly replaying thoughts of worry, regret, anger, or doubt, your body responds chemically, producing emotions that match those thoughts. Over time, these emotions solidify into moods, and those moods become aspects of your personality. The mind creates the body's state, and the body reinforces the mind's signals, trapping you in a cycle that feels unbreakable. To control your mind is to break that cycle. It is to realize that you are not the voice of doubt, fear, or limitation. You are the awareness behind the voice. When you begin to observe your thoughts rather than blindly follow them, you create a space of freedom. That space is where choice lives. Without it, you are reactive, pulled in every direction by whatever thought appears. With it, you become deliberate, selecting which thoughts to nurture and which to release. Just as a gardener pulls weeds to protect the soil for new seeds, you must clear away the repetitive, destructive thoughts that do not serve you. Control does not mean suppression. Suppressing thoughts only drives them deeper, giving them more hidden power. Control means awareness, discipline, and redirection. It means acknowledging a negative thought without letting it dominate, then intentionally shifting focus toward a higher possibility. For example, when your mind says, "I can't do this." Control means responding with, "I am learning to grow stronger every day." When it says, "I always fail," control means affirming, "Every setback is preparing me for success." These are not empty affirmations. They are conscious redirections that rewire your neural pathways. Over time, your brain begins to fire new connections, and the old limiting patterns weaken. The mind is also the lens through which you experience reality. Two people can face the same situation and interpret it completely differently based on the state of their minds. One sees failure, the other sees feedback. One sees obstacles, the other sees opportunities. The situation is the same, but the interpretation creates two entirely different lives. Controlling your mind is about choosing interpretations that empower rather than disempower. It is about becoming the narrator of your story instead of letting the story be written by fear, past pain, or external voices. Your mind is a tool of creation. Every great invention, every innovation, every transformation began first as a thought. The chair you sit on, the building you enter, the device you hold, all were once just ideas in someone's mind. Thought preceded matter. When you learn to control your mind, you step into the same creative process. You visualize the reality you want. You hold the image with clarity and emotion, and you train your body to feel as if it already exists. In doing so, you align your energy with the outcome, and you begin to draw it toward you. This is not wishful thinking. It is the science of focus, belief, and intentional energy. Another crucial aspect of controlling the mind is guarding what enters it. The information you consume, the conversations you entertain, the media you absorb. All of these are seeds planted in your mental soil. If you constantly feed your mind with fear-based news, negativity, or gossip, do not be surprised when your thoughts reflect that input. If you surround yourself with inspiration, knowledge, and uplifting ideas, your mind begins to operate on a higher level. Control is not only about managing the thoughts that arise, but also about choosing the environments and influences that shape those thoughts in the first place. There is also the matter of focus. The uncontrolled mind is scattered, jumping from one distraction to the next, never able to sustain attention long enough to create meaningful results. The controlled mind, however, is sharp and precise. Focus is the currency of achievement. Where you place your attention consistently, energy flows and results manifest. If your focus is constantly on problems, they expand. If your focus is on solutions, opportunities begin to reveal themselves. Training your mind to focus on what matters most is one of the highest forms of mastery you can achieve. The mind can either be a prison or a key. Left unchecked, it replays the past, projects fear into the future, and robs you of the present. But when mastered, it becomes a gateway into freedom, creativity, and transformation. It allows you to transcend old limitations and step into new realities. This mastery does not happen overnight. It requires daily practice, meditation, mindfulness, visualization, journaling. These are tools to train your mind to serve you instead of enslave you. The more consistently you practice, the stronger your control becomes. In the end, controlling your mind is not about silencing every thought or striving for perfection. It is about recognizing that you are the driver, not the passenger. It is about reclaiming authorship of the inner dialogue that shapes your destiny. When you take control of your mind, you take control of your future, because everything you will ever create, experience, or become begins first in the invisible realm of thought. Every human being carries within them two versions of themselves: the self that has been shaped by the past, and the self that is waiting to be created in the future. Most people live trapped in the first, endlessly recycling their history, their habits, and their old emotional patterns, never realizing that a different version of themselves is available. To control your future self is to take command of the direction your life is moving in, instead of letting it unfold by default. It means living consciously rather than reactively, choosing who you are, becoming rather than repeating who you have been. The first truth you must understand is that your future self is being built in this very moment. Every thought you think, every decision you make, every action you take is either keeping you aligned with the person you have always been or pulling you closer to the person you are capable of becoming. The future is not some distant place you will arrive at. It is the accumulation of present moments, stacked one on top of the other until they form the story of your life. If you want that story to change, you must begin writing it now. Too often, people assume that change will come when circumstances improve. They say things like, "I'll be different when I get that job," or "I'll be happier when I find that relationship," or "I'll be disciplined once life calms down." But this mindset only postpones transformation. Your future self is not waiting for better conditions. It is waiting for you to take responsibility for who you are becoming today. Circumstances may shape the environment, but your choices shape your destiny. Until you decide to embody the qualities of your future self now, you will remain tied to the cycles of your past. Controlling your future self requires clarity. You cannot step into a version of yourself that you have not defined. Who do you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20? How does that person think, act, speak, and live? What habits have they mastered? What energy do they radiate? Without a clear vision, you drift. With a clear vision, you direct. When you can see the future self vividly enough, you begin to align your present actions with that image. The brain does not distinguish strongly between imagined experiences and real ones. If you hold the vision consistently, you begin to embody it until it becomes natural. Another key aspect is breaking the emotional addiction to the past. The body becomes conditioned to live in familiar emotions: stress, worry, frustration, sadness. These emotions, though painful, feel safe because they are known. So when you try to create a new future, your body resists, pulling you back into the same old emotional states. This is why so many people feel stuck. They are trying to build a new future with the chemistry of their past. To control your future self, You must teach your body how to feel the emotions of your desired future before it arrives. Gratitude, joy, peace, and abundance are not results of change. They are catalysts for change. When you embody them now, you signal to life that you are already aligned with that future, and life begins to respond in kind. Discipline is another cornerstone of controlling your future self. The future is built on habits, and habits are the bricks of destiny. If your daily actions do not match the vision of your future self, then no amount of wishing will get you there. The person you want to be is not hidden in tomorrow. It is hidden in the small, repeated choices you make today. Do you choose growth over comfort? Do you choose persistence over procrastination? Do you choose integrity over shortcuts? These decisions may seem minor in the moment, but they are the sculptor's chisel, shaping the contours of your future identity. Equally important is learning to release the fear of the unknown. The future self is unfamiliar by nature. It demands that you leave behind comfort zones, identities, and relationships that no longer serve you. This is why so many cling to their current selves, even when they are dissatisfied. The pain of the known feels safer than the uncertainty of transformation, but control is not about eliminating uncertainty. It is about embracing it as the path to growth. When you trust yourself enough to step into the unknown, you step closer to the version of you that has been waiting all along. Surrounding yourself with environments and people that support your future self is also vital. The mind and body are influenced by surroundings. If you remain in places that reinforce old patterns, you will be pulled back into them. But if you align with communities, mentors, and environments that reflect where you want to go, you accelerate your transformation. Energy is contagious, and when you immerse yourself in the energy of your future self, it becomes easier to embody it. Ultimately, to control your future self is to stop living as a prisoner of your past and to begin living as the architect of your destiny. It is to wake up each day with the awareness that you are not simply repeating a story. You are authoring a new one. It is to hold the vision of who you want to be so strongly that your actions, your thoughts, your words, and your emotions begin to align with it automatically. It is to stop waiting for change and to start becoming change. When you do this, your future self is no longer some distant hope. It is a reality you are already stepping into with every choice you make. When you take command of your mouth, your mood, your money, your mind, and ultimately your future self, you step into a level of mastery that few ever reach. Most people drift through life, speaking without awareness, reacting emotionally to everything around them, struggling endlessly with money, letting their minds run on autopilot, and repeating the same identity year after year. They believe life is something that happens to them, never realizing that life is something happening through them. But the truth is clear. Your words shape the vibrations you live in. Your moods set the frequency of your experience. Your money reflects the respect and discipline you hold within. Your mind is the architect of your reality, and your future self is waiting for you to choose it rather than postpone it. When you gain mastery in these areas, you no longer live as a prisoner of circumstance. You live as a deliberate creator. The choice is always yours. You can continue allowing old patterns to write your story, or you can step into awareness and take ownership of your power. Every day, in every moment, you are either reinforcing the past or creating the future. And the more you align your mouth, your mood, your money, your mind, and your vision of self with the person you are destined to be, the more life will bend to match that alignment. True transformation does not happen in one grand moment. It happens in the consistent choices of today, the conscious decisions to live in control rather than in reaction. When you begin to live this way, you not only change your own life, but you also become an example, a light, and a source of inspiration for those around you. The journey of control is the journey of freedom, and the journey of freedom is the journey of becoming who you were always meant to be.